It's hard to believe how fast the time is flying. We will have Leo Lyons Zagami back hour number 1 tomorrow. Today, we want to focus in the first segment with Mark GAFFNEY regarding his amazing new book, basically Black 9/11 Second Edition. Let's go through some of the chapters and so on. We only have a segment today, Mark, that are so important. We had a special we posted up over the weekend. We had Jim Fetzer on hour 1 and 3 on Monday, and we'd like to get you back once you get your personal things all caught up to speed in the next few weeks to continue to hammer away at these issues, because this is a particularly dangerous time, election year, when there's a transition in power from the global power brokers that promulgated 9/11 and the danger of another 9/11-like event in the last waning months of the Obama administration. So, Mark, tell us about the new chapters. Yeah, tell us about the new chapters, what the book's all about in the first place, and why the issues you cover are complementary to things like Jim Fetzer's work, my presentations over the years. You've discovered in your own FOIA research and your own research in Shanksville and the financial issues some extremely important issues. Tell us about them.
Well, the subtitle of the book is Money, Motive, and Technology. And in the first few chapters, several chapters of the book, I delve into the money angle. Follow the money? I think it's very relevant in the case of 9/11. And this is what the 9/11 Commission did not do. You may recall in the 9/11 Commission report, they poo-pooed this whole issue of the money angle. And when I started looking at it, I found that it was just alarming, shocking, some of the things I learned. For example, when I looked at the evidence for insider trading, I doubt if very many Americans know that 3 academic studies, all independent studies by a variety of different professors, all concluded that the evidence for insider trading was very strong.
Right.
In fact, this morning I just watched a video interview with Mark Chesney, who authored one of these papers. He was a co-author. He's at the University of Zurich, and he is calling for a new 9/11 investigation to expose who these traders were. And the conversation with the interviewer, Laura Shaw, was very interesting, because Laura Shaw pointed out that and we know this to be a fact, that the Securities and Exchange Commission destroyed all the evidence for this investigation. They were the lead party for the official investigation of insider trading back in the fall of 2001, and we know that they destroyed all their records. We know this because David Callahan and a colleague of mine filed a Freedom of Information Act with the SEC, trying to have those documents released, and got a letter back saying that, sorry, the records have all been destroyed. And in the interview with Chesney, Laura Shaw and Chesney agreed that this is a scandal. Should be front-page news in every newspaper in the country. It should be headline news, and the whole thing has been buried.
Now,
so I'm trying to revive interest in this issue.
That's really important, and my guess is what you found, there's probably even more. And not only yourself, but others are going to discover this. I have a feeling that the start of the controlled demolition of the world economy started on 9/11. Including the illegal wars and all the other things that are tied to it. For example, one of the points that Trump made that's been proven by other journalists is that the total costs of the wars since 9/11 have run in somewhere between $5 and $10 trillion just for America. And the cost of blood and lives is insane for illegal wars.
Well, the insider trading per se was a small component. I mean, we're talking about just the tip of the iceberg. I don't think the insider trading was part of the perpetrators' plan, to stage this false flag event. These were individuals who had knowledge that it was going to happen, and just could not resist the temptation to stick their hand in the cookie jar and try to personally benefit from it. So we're talking about maybe 30 million. That was the number given by Professor Paul Zaremka, another colleague, and other research that I've done and that is presented in the book indicates that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Because there very likely was securities fraud, also on a much larger scale.
Right. Now there's also the amount of money that was lost at the Pentagon with the Comptroller Dov Zakheim. That amount, which was estimated to be $2.3 trillion at the time of 9/11, has ballooned to now be estimated around $6.5 trillion. There's also the gold at the bottom of the World Trade Center towers that was moved. I think it was the Bank of Nova Scotia. That was a huge amount of gold that was moved in advance of the demolition. And, of course, we also know that the double insurance through the Blackstone Group funded the ARIA complex, which you found. That double insurance, which is a quote, a terrorism insurance, because two, quote, planes hit the two buildings. So they got double for $100 and some thousand million. They actually got $4.7 billion in insurance money for the so-called demolition.
Absolutely, that's right. And the buildings were insured just weeks before 9/11 for a terrorist attack. I mean, how obvious is that? Come on, that's transparent, folks. And yet the 9/11 Commission never even looked at this.
Mark, why would you say that with the refounding of America, with the arrival now of President Trump, the arrival of books like yours and Jim Fetzer's, We Were Nuked in 9/11, these are really important documents. These are like the refounding documents to create a greater and a better and a good America and to clean out government of the kind of vile corruption where since 9/11 we've been in a continuous state of war and never winning. Now we're not winning against ISIS that's expanding massively. We have a President, Obama, who's deconstructing the country at an enormous pace, completing and fulfilling the project for the new American century and globalist plans like George Soros and the Agenda 2030, a borderless world where America basically loses our jobs, our economy eventually collapses, and we have civil war and break into a number of sub-republics. That's where we're heading. Geopolitical analysts, even in Russia, have said that America cannot survive with its current trajectory and corruption going on.
Well, absolutely. As I say in the book, when criminals evade justice, their criminal activities expand and become ever more audacious. And this is what we've seen. I mean, the numbers from the Pentagon bookkeeping tell us, point to the very same conclusion. We've gone from $2.3 trillion in the Pentagon budget unaccounted for, now up to something like $6.5 trillion. We've been at war continuously since 9/11, okay? And now we're at the point, things have gotten so much worse, steadily worse. Now we're at the point where the United States has brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. We have radar and ABM sites on the Russian border, and this is within the Russian security perimeter. So we have made the Russians very jumpy and very nervous, and they understand that they are under attack. This is not what the kind of behavior that that brings the world into an age into an age of abundance and peace for everyone. This is extremely reckless and dangerous behavior. I would call it criminal, really.
Right, and when you see Obama, who you would otherwise think is a wimp, in fact, in terms of his foreign policy, it's extremely provocative, and it's lockstep with the even more aggressive stance and attitude and policy of Hillary Rodham Clinton. And I mean, people don't understand that when you set up and allow the Turks to come to northern Syria and set up a no-fly zone, you directly bring the possibility of direct air conflict and missile conflict with Russian jets and Russian bombers trying to bomb ISIS, which we're trying to pretend we do it, but we're bombing villages that have been vacated and buildings that are empty over and over again, pretending with our sorties that we're defeating ISIS and we're doing nothing of the kind. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. This is why I view Hillary's candidacy as so dangerous, because if she is elected and tries to impose a no-fly zone on Syria, we could be eyeball to eyeball with Russians in a nuclear stand-down in a matter of days or hours. I mean, this thing could escalate very, very quickly.
It will escalate because the Russians can't project a military force, but they have the nuclear and the other strategic forces to neutralize our Navy, to neutralize our nuclear force, and to strike our military bases and hit us with EMP weapons within hours. And if people don't understand that, they will use the weapon of indignation, which is EMP, and nuclear strikes on our military bases here and around the world, and America will be defanged. So
absolutely.
And if they don't understand that, they should understand this is all an epiphenomenon of the financial finagling that's going on, which is the military phase is now coming in. after the economic phase, which started in full force in 9/11. The 9/11 to me was a signal of the full force start of the economic phase of World War III. We're now moving into the war phase, and that could trigger off a conflict very soon. And we could have an economic, we call Jenga game, that could precipitate a world financial collapse any day. Now the German primary bank doesn't accept gold in the paper form to settle accounts. That just happened last week. So in your book, you cover the financial issues, and also Shanksville. Tell us about what you've got to discover there, and the seismic signatures and the other things that show that the government block on getting FLIR infrared satellite data has particularly been difficult because they don't want you to identify the specific timing of the strike on the Shanksville plane, what the mechanism was, and exactly why the different signatures on the seismic record.
Well, yes, I think the crucial issue at Shanksville is the controversy over the crash time of Flight 93. Before we go there, Doctor, I want to make one final comment about this conversation we were having. I wanted just to mention, when I discuss this, try to discuss these issues with friends of mine and liberals, I run into this mental disconnect. People can't seem to understand how dangerous this nuclear situation is right now.
Right.
My friends, like my liberal friends, they say, well, our government leaders are not irrational. They don't want to start a nuclear war. But we are doing everything possible. Our leaders are doing everything possible to bring that about.
Right.
My comeback to that position is, well, you don't understand. Our leaders are not rational people. They're psychopaths. We're being led by psychopaths and have been for a very long time in our country. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, one of the things that I would say is a psychopathic policy of proliferating nuclear technology, including Rosatom from Russia, to 8 new countries, and the American system selling nuclear technology to India at the same time over decades. They gave AQ Khan of Pakistan the technology to set up the 3rd largest nuclear weapons development plant in Waziristan, northwest Pakistan. And until the second term of George Bush, the Pakistanis had direct access to that nuclear information and secure servers. So our government has purposely proliferated nuclear weapons, purposely sent technology for generation of power that could create weapons-grade plutonium. And it's not just us that are guilty. The Russians are as well, proliferating nuclear materials. So,
well, we know that we know that there was an alliance between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The Saudis funded the Pakistani nuclear program, and in return they were given a promise that if Saudi Arabia ever came under attack, that the Pakistanis would come to defend them with nukes. So
I'll give you some classified information I have from the Israelis and a recent press release this summer that the Saudis have already stated this summer, that I think it was June, that they have nukes from Pakistan. They also have missile delivery systems they bought from China. So we wouldn't give it to these Saudis, and they got CC-3 missiles from the Chinese. They've upgraded it now so they can strike up to 3,000 kilometers away fairly easily, which is not only into Israel but also into Europe. So people need to start grasping the fact that the Saudis are nuclear power now, and they have weapons that have been developed and built with nuclear technology from America, funded by the Saudis. And so this 28 pages that Obama's trying to veto the bill to sue the Saudis will trace back to the FBI and CIA and also our nuclear industry, that we're proliferating these weapons and transferring technology to countries that could potentially attack Israel. And Israel is armed to the teeth. They're probably the 2nd or 3rd nuclear power on the planet, and they have their own ImageSat satellite system and targeting technology. And I can tell you they're no slouches. They don't even share when they get our technology. When they're upgraded to new technology, they don't share it with us. So if Israel thinks that they're going to get attacked, they'll unleash hell. The Samson option is what it's called in Israel, on every Islamic country, city, town, and village within 10,000 miles. And they will also attack any other cities that they think are allied with these Islamic rebels that are trying to attack the country, including Iran, which Obama gave $150 billion deal and been paying off $400 million. There's now estimates there's a lot more money that went up to $33 billion already given to Iran. And they're thumbing their nose at us with nuclear missile-type technology. and basically now swift boating and running around our ships like they're going to run into them and with bombs, suicide bombing, these little mini boats. So I think that our policies are patently designed to bring about World War III. They're patently designed to bring about economic chaos and collapse, not dealing with working things out with the BRICS nations. And we're doing everything we can do to do orange revolutions. Like I'm sure behind the scenes, Dilma Rousseff of Brazil has been an object of the CIA. Guarantee it.
Yes, and let me just mention that the situation between India and Pakistan could also, explode at any moment. I mean, we have a simmering conflict in Kashmir that is no way near to being resolved.
That actually
both of those nations are nuclear armed to the teeth, and came very close to a nuclear war back in, I think it was 2003 or 4, and this could happen again.
Well, they only have a 2-minute warning. What's called launch on warming. We have 20 minutes. So they don't have the technology to know if it's a false attack or a near-space object or a coronal mass ejection. And as a result, either side could launch without adequate information, and we need to integrate these so-called client states like other states like right now Japan, who has nuclear weapons, and they're not admitting it. The Reactor 3 at the Fukushima Daiichi area plant was creating MOX, or mixed oxygen fuel, which is how to make plutonium detonators, which is illegal and unconstitutional with the post-war arrangements we made with Japan. But I guarantee you that Japan, who's one of the biggest developers of rockets to put up satellites, can easily slap on a warhead on it, and they have their own satellite system targeting system in orbit. So for people who don't understand, if they're not integrated into an accurate and global system under control of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, I would think the Joint Chiefs of Staff would be tossing around in bed worrying about Mr. Netanyahu or Lieberman, or worrying about these client states that we're selling nuclear technology to, like India, and indirectly to Pakistan, which we made sure had them. And we even upgraded after the Second World War the Russians, because they didn't have nuclear technology or materials to even start doing testing with their nuclear weapons in the late 1940s and early 1950s. So to me it's disgusting that these, America and other states like Russia now are proliferating nuclear weapons, and Putin wants to have some kind of form of dialogue. But again, remember, if you look at Sputnik and other articles in the Russian media, they know and have openly said that 9/11 was a self-inflicted wound to promulgate illegal wars, to create a balkanization of the Middle East for the State of Israel and for America, for a larger empire over the next century. That's what they say, and I think it's absolutely correct. What do you think?
Behind Putin. So what we need in the United States is leadership, and the very thing we haven't had for many, many years. And so the only avenue I see is to have a period of truth-telling in our country. We need to expose criminals, hold them accountable, and shine the light on these dark areas so that we can make it through this difficult time. Otherwise, we're not going to make it.
Well, your book is a very big thing, because like Mickey Spillane of the 1930s and 40s, when he wrote his novels or novelettes, that you have to follow the money, and you've done that. If you look at the money, I'm certain that there's more ties to things like derivatives markets and illegal operations and things not under the purview of the Congress and Senate, so that these projects, which are in the trillions of dollars, are building underground cities, off-world space projects, we call death weapons, to engage or to neutralize the other side if there ever is a conflict. And having worked, taking care of employees at U.S. Space Command, I know of a number of extremely classified projects that U.S. government has spent hundreds of trillions of dollars on that have not had oversight in the Congress or Senate. And my guess is that they ramped this up dramatically after 9/11. They didn't want any oversight by the elected officials. So when you follow the money, even to the ARIA complex, there's a lot more to this, and I'm sure you're going to find more. There'll be probably a third edition of this book in a few years. Well, if you want to get Mark's book, which is Black Light and 9/11, second edition, you can go to Trineday, TRINEDAY.com or Amazon.com. Now, I want to look at some of the latest issues that are going on right now in terms of the election cycle, and I'll read off Drudge, which I find one of the best sources. Trump, of course, is now up by 5 points, 30% believe Clinton will be dead by 2020. I would say the chances of her dying in the next year are more like 80%, based on what I have right now. Now, it could change, but she is in the terminal phases of Parkinson's disease, which die of pneumonia, which is why she's having an incessant cough, because she's got pseudobulbar palsy and the terminal signs of Parkinson's. There's also a very big story here about Colin Powell, and I'm not sure what he said. He said before, of course, that Hillary was trying to blame him for using her servers, hacked email. Colin Powell, Democratic donor, worried over Clinton's health in 2015. So, Secretary of State Colin Powell and major Democratic donor Jeffrey Leeds discussed Hillary Clinton's health in March of last year. Hacked emails show. So apparently the hacked emails are actually discussing that they're inside even the Democratic Party, they're very concerned about her health. So they know a lot more than what's going on than they're saying. In terms of more doctors raise concerns over her diagnosis, our Association of Physicians and Surgeons has suggested that we have a expert panel of doctors have full disclosure and can even order additional testing. I would say the following. She needs to have her thyroid tested, including reverse thyroid hormone. She needs to have her adrenals tested with salivary hormone testing over 24 hours for a diurnal pattern. She needs to have a lung scan to see if she's got cancer, or a spiral section CT scan, because it's very possible the lesion at the base of her brain may actually be a tumor and may have already metastasized, and a PET scan within 48 hours. She needs to have a neurological and motion disorders panel assess her neurologically, because it's suggestive that she's got oculogyrate crisis, where her head goes back and she looks with her both wide open and loses control. We know that she's getting absent seizures. She needs to see a neurologist, get an EEG done. We know she should have another MRI scan, specifically waited to look for this lesion in the base of her brain if it's post-traumatic. The fact she's got double vision post-concussion indicates that such a severe brain injury that it damaged the nerve tracts that control her extraocular muscles. So it wasn't a direct injury to the eye. It's an EOM, extraocular muscle neurological damage inside of the brain. Now, when you also, this is the other thing about an MRI scan, she has a transverse sinus thrombosis, and it's very likely she's got what's called intracranial venous hypertension. Now, intracranial venous hypertension is like a post-traumatic concussion that just doesn't go away. And you'll be able to see neurological changes on the scans if you look closely, including a positron emission tomography metabolic scan. Those are just a few of the things that need to be done for Hillary Clinton. Now, I offered to do a free metapathia with hunter function scan. This machine developed at the Russian Academy of Sciences and for the cosmonauts. And I've developed new technologies to advance beyond that, also the QRMA. And I would recommend these other conventional advanced neurological evaluations and other tests done to make sure she, number one, doesn't have cancer. Number two, is she demented? Because she continues to say 39 times that she can't recall anything. And at the same time, that's why, quote, the FBI said that they could determine that she didn't have intent, which is not their purview. They have to literally present the evidence. And the Department of Justice didn't do the job because the director, Loretta Lynch, is totally corrupt. So is Comey, because he shouldn't be putting his nose in the idea of making himself judge and jury. Legal experts have already weighed in on this over the last several months now, and what's going on is there's a Republican voter surge. Clinton is crashing. She can't do if you look at the number of days she took off in August, now she'll have many more days off. It's my guess, although they say she's going to be back on the circuit. You can't go back on the circuit after 3 days after having an incessant cough for weeks and pneumonia. Most likely she's in hospital, and if she's in hospital, she's not reading a book. She's intubated, which means she'll be on a ventilator until they can prove that she can walk without her oxygen level dropping. So all of this is, I'm sure that the Democrats are scrambling, wondering whether they should pull her and put another candidate in there. They know that it's extremely unlikely any other candidate will carry enough votes to get elected. So Trump is going to be our next president. If he stays and keeps his mouth clear of comments the media can attack, stays on message and gives plans that are positive for all parts of America and all segments of society, he's going to win. But I want to go over some of the things when you get to Nutrimedical. It's a fairly busy page. Some people say too busy, but that's my mind. No apologies. I want you to understand when you go to Nutrimedical, and the alternate site, by the way, is clay and iron. All the classified material, spiritual, religious material, all the classified documents and other things, and all authors such as Tex Mars, Jonathan Gray, etc., there are alternate links directly on that site as well. And a lot of other news items that are not health-related are posted up there. So I'm posting more and more videos. I have a new video capture as well as live stream, so you're going to see a lot more videos. I'm trying to fix some final tweaks on their system. What's happening is at the end of some of my recordings I've had it speed up. So bear with it. I'm going to be putting up video recaps after every show, and usually about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes longer if I have a guest. And when we have Tim, it's usually more like an hour because he has a lot of topics to talk about and he has his own particular delivery. And of course with Ann Morrison, where talks are usually well over an hour, often 2 or 3 sub-talks. Last week I did one on the 6 questions to be asked by presidential candidates, answered by presidential candidates regarding nuclear weapons proliferation and nuclear power. So have a look at that video. It's up on YouTube and on Vimeo. You'll see it there. Also, the recap after the twiland.info site, we have all the pictures and other material, sometimes video clips, that explain a lot of issues from geotectonics, volcanism, biosecurity, Zika virus, all kinds of issues, weather modification, technologies, and many other things that are really important that you need to know. You're not going to get this information mined generally. That's why do contribute and donate to Ann Morrison's website. It helps to support what she does because she puts many hours of this. She's retired and has a very broad background in science, so that'll help. A couple of things that are happening. We are constantly developing new nutraceuticals. These are 7-star nutraceuticals you're not going to find elsewhere. We ship everywhere in the world, literally to McMurdo Bay, Antarctica, believe it or not, or China or Beijing. We ship everywhere. And you might think, well, why does Dr. Deagle ship? Because we provide backup and context for how to use the nutraceuticals with custom consultations. And my email consultations, when people have just given me a simple paragraph of their issues, I provide free. That's part of our ministry. Now, I do ask that if you ask for my advice, you get all your nutraceuticals for Nutrimedical. Number 1, they're going to work. And number 2, if you have things that don't get better or new issues that come up, you can simply email back and I will adjust your protocol. I will recommend medically what kinds of medical, conventional, and advanced testing in any area, in any specialty. As a board-certified specialist, medical legal specialist in every specialty in medicine, surgery, etc. And I will also provide you the alternative care, whether you need chiropractic, manipulations, massage therapy, hyperbaric oxygen treatment, or any other alternative treatments that are developed here or other countries, such as immunotherapy, which are developed in Europe and countries outside the United States, where they can literally take your T lymphocytes and, say, your cancer RNA and actually activate T lymphocytes to attack and find your cancer and kill it. So there's all kinds of treatments available around the world, and I'm aware of these and can, in a sense, network to make sure you get the right contact. Now, if you want to look at our specials, we have daily specials up all the time. Right now we have the Sports Energy Light on special. We have Silver 100 always on a 15% special and free shipping. We have, of course, the Nutri-Defense, which I designed. Nutri-Defense has the most powerful antioxidant in the world, which is the anhydrous catechin polyphenol. It also has components to block defense reaction that allows any kind of pathogen to enter tissue planes. It has special components to disrupt the viral capsid of all RNA and DNA viruses. So the 2 main things to take to prevent Zika are Nutri-Defense and Allicin Med, or Alamax, which is about 1/4 the strength and power. We have Vitamin Mineral Max specials, and what's amazing about this is all the components are activated. So it's not like any other vitamin from any other company on Amazon or anywhere else, even medical vitamins. These are completely activated, which means every component, including the minerals, are bioactivated in albumin chelate, so it's a protein amino acid chelate, so it's actively transported across the cell membranes. And by the way, I'm working on a single mineral activation technology, which I'm developing with Dr. Truott. I'm taking his technology and advancing it even further. That'll be available sometime in the next month or so. We have Life Support Vanilla specials. We have the Allicin Med Sale, which is fantastic. We have the QRMA, and regularly now, usually on Mondays, we'll have Jim Gersey who has now set up PPRDI, which is a really amazing peak performance research and development institute in New York City. And they can provide you testing for the QRMA, the bioplasm, where we actually can do some frequency matching for the Nutrimeds, and the metapathia with Hunter, which is the most advanced diagnostic technology that can scan down to individual tissues and even different chromosomes and even genes. So I can then with my 11-page functional medicine environmental history form, your scanned medical records, your QRMA test, and your metapathia if you go to the institute, and PPRDI will be coordinating all of the other testing sites in the world. So if you want to set up a testing site in Johannesburg or elsewhere, you don't have to buy a franchise. All you have to do is buy the equipment from Dr. Bill, sign our agreements of non-compete, etc. You'll be coordinated, including the billing and the provision of reports and so on, and coordination time, because sometimes I have to do a live evaluation by TeamViewer 11 anywhere in the world, specifically looking at the test results and doing some frequency matching and other types of things. Most of the time I can do it remotely without the person having been there. I provide a consultation that goes with this testing that's separate, and we will bill directly for that, but PPRDI is available now to do that testing. So if you say, I want to get these tests done, right now we have a number of people who have QRMA machines. I strongly recommend that if you have one and you want to have a side business, you can charge for the test and simply send a compressed report and an abbreviated history form to me, and I will do a evaluation to determine which nutrients you need, and if you need a further evaluation such as a metapathia. If you're out there and you want to get involved, this is a fantastic business to be involved. You do not have to be a trained medical doctor or nurse or chiropractor or naturopath. I will train you on how to technically do the testing and get accurate reports to me, and then I will be able to log on and actually analyze the report and determine if conventional tests or specialists or surgeons or other things naturally have to be done in order to address the problems. It comes back to the fact that minor symptoms can kill you, major symptoms will bother you, and no symptoms at all can bite you. In other words, you can have no idea that something's brewing, and the metapathia and the QRMA will pick up biological abnormal circuit patterns and harmonic resonant patterns that indicate disease, heavy metal toxicity, or nutrient deficiencies, and we can fix those. So that's on the front page. Now you should see also, if you're looking at the front page of Nutrimedical, we have our Listen Live button at the top, which is Showcast. We have the Nutrimedical Show archives, which are over the Deagle Network. And if you sign up, you'll get the podcast. We also have RSS feeds and most of the different feeds in English worldwide now. We also have, you want to listen to the show, you can listen to the show online by hitting that button right after I upload it, which now the guys here at Republic are great. They usually get the archives to me pretty quickly, and I try to get them up as fast as possible unless I have a scheduled appointment where I have to talk or consult with someone. The live stream channel is there where we do live stream interviews. If you sign up, you will get notified if we're going to do a live stream interview or a conference. We will be planning some live stream multi-site conferences in the next few months as well. So you don't have to travel. You can actually literally log in, and the conference will have a small fee to get a passcode in order to watch the conference. If it's major issues, if it's minor issues, we're not going to charge at all. We have the Zeno Live phone number, and if you call that number after I've loaded up the archives, that 701-801-2263 number, you can listen to the show on your phone. So you don't have to have a computer. You can listen on the phone, and it continuously replays 8 times a day the entire show. We have the Vimeo HD channels. So Vimeo is a premier high-definition video channel that is equivalent but even has more reach in languages and so on and searching than YouTube. YouTube is larger in terms of total volume here in the English side of the world. And we also have a YouTube channel, a premium YouTube channel as well. The Nutrimedical nutraceutical formulas, there's a specific link there. We also have the numbers for public broadcasting, and I know there has some troubles with the 800 number. I'm not certain if that's fixed yet, but the 800 number has been 800-313-9443 if you want to call in. I strongly recommend that people call into the show with good questions or comments, but tell the board up exactly what they are because they screen everything. You don't just automatically get on because you want to talk. If you do want to talk and you have a good point, We want to make sure that it stays on topic, unless we have an open time where you can call in with basically anything. We have, of course, our YouTube channel, which is cross-indexed. We have, by the way, everything is tagged and cross-indexed, so you can search through it. We have specific pay-per-view videos over on Vimeo, on either documentation videos, such as the Vimeo video with Roger Stone, and our protocols for wellness. In fact, the protocols for wellness will only be posted up on Vimeo for pay-per-view, and those will be hyperlinked directly from the... those will be available, probably posted up on the wellness conditions, so those people who have access to the wellness conditions will be able to see the videos free, and if not, you can actually see at least the video that gives you a little summary of the wellness protocol on pay-per-view or at Vimeo. That gives you an idea. Now, going down through some of the other issues on the front page, we have, of course, the email issue is the second box down. Email Dr. Bill with your health challenges. I provide this service free. Now, if it looks like your case is so complex that I need to review a lot of records, I'm going to recommend that you do a consultation. Most of the time, if you have complex cases with lots of scans and medical records, I'm going to recommend 2 time units, not 1. 1 time unit would be something extremely brief, or if I give you a special pass to do that. You have to have, even if you speak a foreign language, and we have a lady that I'm going to be doing a consult today from Los Angeles that speaks broken English from Mexico. She's very intelligent, but she's going to have a translator. We have a translator arranged on our end to translate for her, and she did have to finish her 11-page intake history form first. That's extremely important. This is not just a slap, together job. It's a full medical consultation that if it was a medical legal, it could be admitted in court. So I want to present you with information that's going to tell you not just what vitamins or nutrients to take, but what medical course of action, whether it's surgery, non-surgical, or other alternative care, and what kinds of special technology or facilities around the world will help your health condition. Just got feedback from another one of our great patients who has MS, that we're able to turn off his MS. It's from progressing and all of his symptoms, and he's getting significant remyelination, recovery of his cognitive function, motor control of his speech, and some early signs with the long track signs, which are the last to improve, that his proprioception and motor power are also getting better. So I discovered this 7 years ago, that the metabolic factors associated with autoimmune conditions, all autoimmune disease, are identical to the stress factors and metabolic changes that occur prior to the development of cancer. And our nutraceutical protocols work like a charm. You don't need to take toxic or dangerous or really expensive drugs to turn off these illnesses. Our protocol with a ketogenic diet, our nutraceuticals, and ideally mild hyperbaric oxygen, if you can arrange that, either through a leased machine, going to a hyperbaric clinic, or purchasing. And we can arrange that through Summit to See. We have, of course, our Carrot Bar business step-by-step plan. We also have our forum. And this Nutrimedical Forum Group is managed by Michelle. If you contact her through the forum group, which is over at Deagle Network, you can pass through to Michelle and post articles, network with other people within Nutrimedical worldwide, raise issues. If you want to find out other people in your town, city, or country that have similar issues or want to work on a project, it's through the Nutrimedical Forum. If you're wanting to purchase a water system, do use our code NutriMed, N-U-T-R-I-M-E-D. You're going to save 10%. You'll see right below that the link to Clay and Iron. Clay and Iron is a very important website, and I'm going to be posting a lot more news over there, a lot more videos and so on, especially now as we're heading deeper into the what I call the birth pangs and the end times. You'll see the next is Jurisdictionary, which is how to win in court. Pro Se Litigant online course with Dr. Fred Graves is $250. They provide you tons of emails, tons of support. The best medical legal course, and it's used, by the way, in the vast majority of countries in the world have English-based systems, including even Russia and China. So this system will help you not only if you're American, but Canadian, Aussie, European, even many of the states in Africa have English-based systems because, of course, they were originally British colonies, and this applies. The next link is the Peak Performance Research Institute providing mobile functional medicine predictive wellness analysis with the QRMA bioplasma metapathia. I've expanded that to include 23andMe and Prometheus, and also organic acid and metabolite analysis and heavy metals and toxins, and immunological testing. So if you want these types of tests, we can provide it through PPRDI, and we will coordinate testing to anybody anywhere on Earth. And right now we'll have you fly into New York City. Otherwise, we're going to be setting up satellite facilities around the world at your, and again, you don't have to all you have to do is purchase the equipment, qualify with me specifically that you're the right kind of person to do the testing and be trained up. And number two, you have to sign up that you will be managed by Jim Gersey at PPRDI as my proxy managing the diagnostic testing side of this Nutrimedical facility offer. We have vibrational exercise, whole body weight loss. This is about a third of the price of the power plate and other equipment with a better warranty, and it's modular, so it's easy to service. We have the link to less EMF, and we have, of course, Emil de Toffel on weekly to talk about it. Matthew Deagle is the next link, and that's my oldest son. He's an expert on psychology, mass psychology, symbology, the neurobiological analysis of issues and global and personal events. He looks at everything from birth dates to fractal analysis of symbology, and he provides a great service over there. So do check out Matthew Deagle's website, MatthewDeagle.com. He's on every Friday, hour 1. We have MG12, magnesium, and 14 life-saving minerals. I use these every day, by the way, in my bath, for my shampoo, topically. They're amazing. Dave and Jean Mitchell, if you're wanting to set up a facility here in America or anywhere worldwide, like the Vinca Baiano ad that you hear, which I think is a valid ad because people may just take the option of, say, I want to have an alternative place outside the United States if things really go to hell in a handcart. Don't think it's a guarantee that Trump will get in, even if he has a majority of Americans voting for him, because the globalists and the evil elements within our government are so evil, they'll try to steal the election. Like Obama pays $10 million to try to get, quote, newly vinted Americans, and even Loretta Lynch has been pushing since last year the idea of undocumented, un-Americans, people who aren't even Americans, voting in the next election. So you have to understand this was announced major in February of this year. So Dave and Jean can actually help you find real estate here in America, not only personal, because he's a real estate broker, but he's brilliant. And his wife Jean, they can also help you outside the country to set up facilities where you can set up a community for people, or inside the country, and help to develop the parameters to have a sustainable community that can have all the components to protect yourselves, to provide education, military protection, all the different services you need. So Dave and Jean Mitchell, their link. Prepare-wise foods. These are the best mylar, low oxygen content, no preservatives, non-GMO, long-term, 25 years plus food storage system. They have the largest serving sizes and the largest array of any company. And so I strongly recommend Prepare-wise Foods as the best option. In terms of the next link, it is Lumen Photon, and we have every possible size of Lumen Photon pads, and I'm working diligently with their company to add frequency modulation for mineral absorption, for changing the biophotonic or circuits in the body to actually promote healing even further. These are amazing machines, and they're inexpensive, and you don't need to buy new electrodes or new things to cover them. They will last for literally many years. The next is MicroPulse, and we'll be getting Dr. Bob Dennis on. He's developed a new matrix device as well. He has been consulting with NASA on developing Schumann resonance stem cell generation systems, including bioreactors for organ regeneration and growth, such as growing artificial vessels, bladders, and other things. I'm working on creating a matrix, which is a new material. It'll be a surgical version for organ printing and for solid organ development and for regeneration of tissues. So that project I'm working on should be finished in the next year, which means we'll be able to provide this new material to the regenerative labs like in North Carolina and Wisconsin for literally regrowing kidneys, lungs, amputated organs, like if someone has their legs blown off, we'll grow new legs for them. This is a real possibility, and with people that I'm networking with, like Dr. Bob Dennis and these other research facilities, we will accomplish it probably in the next 5 years. where we'll be able to regrow specific organs for you, even in a laboratory environment, but also in your own body. And this technology, combined with things like a surgical version of the mountain red velvet and the use of bioreactors and specific scalar frequencies and harmonic resonant therapy I call epigenetic therapy, I'm developing the new technologies for this based on my oscilloscopic analysis of frequencies that are harmonic resonant circuits that are regulated by your DNA and your telomeres. The next is a link to 23andMe, and I like this company. They're probably the best of the lot, and they also provide a service through an affiliate company called Prometheus. It literally only costs you $5 and about 20 minutes of time to analyze all your Prometheus analysis of your 23andMe data to pull out all the gene snips for all the known chromosomes. And once I have those, I can actually determine if I need to do organic acid or metabolite analysis to see if you have a genetic disorder as a child or adult, mitochondriopathy, or specific nutrient needs that are in their activated form to jump over a gene snip. So I can provide this for you or your child if you have a gene disorder or a predisposition to an illness. Then there's Ann Morrison's Science Blog, Twyland, Joel Skousen's World Affairs Brief. Turtle Tough Shelter is the best shelters I recommend for survival rather than an RV. There's a Turtle Tough shelter. The Ready Store, which is fantastic. Top quality emergency equipment and foods, prepper training and media, etc. And then Jonathan Gray's ebooks. We'll be back in a moment with hour number 2, and coming up in hour 3, Dr. Bob Thiel for an analysis of what's going on with Hillary Clinton and her health, the geopolitical race for the White House, and much more. We'll be back in a moment with Rhett from MG12 and Bruce McKeeman from Summit to Sea. If you have any questions, call in to the studios. We'll be back in a moment.